Hey guys, my name's Brand McClellan. Welcome to the Lawn Care Quoting Calculator. Today I'm going to give you a little light run through of what I've built. We're probably looking at releasing this within the next 7 to 14 days. I'll really say, like, this has come from me not knowing what I was doing the last 4 years. And that's just going to be straight up. Like, I've underquoted, I've miscalculated. Nobody sat me down. I've never ran a business before, have no clue how to calculate the numbers. But I know a lot of other people have reached out to me and saying, "Hey, can you help me start my lawn leveling business? Can you help me with pricing?" And so today we're going to go after lawn leveling, top dressing, lawn care, mowing, shrub, fertilization, and pest control. So I'm going to help put a little bit more clarity on how to price something out so you know how much money you're making. So let's dive in. Go ahead and sign in here. Got my password. Boom. All right. So the idea of coming to this is, how do we make life easier? How do we move from being an owner operator to a business owner? Systems, making the money you think you're going to make, accurate pricing, measuring, and being able to look back and see, why the numbers either worked out the way they did or didn't work out. I mean, you can't account for when things go wrong and equipment breaks, but I'll give you some insight on what certain equipment will actually cost you, and going cheaper isn't always better. So let's dive into this. I've broken this down to by square footage. I have production rates based on how fast or how quick it takes us or how long it takes us to do certain size yards, 2,000 square feet an hour to do lawn leveling. If you have gates and issues getting in and out, your production rate might change a little bit. So you may have to account for that, but we need to account for all the costs. So let me kind of run through one quick scenario of how I'd quote a yard. In here, I have all this customer information. I have a CRM background in there. So I will integrate CRMs. I will push all this data into my CRM, which allows me to use AI text, emails, and phone calls to create quotes, book jobs, follow up with customers without having to hire an admin. I think that's going to be the hugest next phase that we're adding into this. All right. So here it is an example. We have 8,000 square feet. We can change this to whatever. We can say 5,000. Time and everything's going to adjust. So the first thing that we probably don't account for is travel time to jobs. 0.75. That's 45 minutes to get to a job. We have to account for the truck, the labor, fuel, and potential maintenance in that time. So we have to assign some travel time to jobs. If you don't, you'll start losing money before you even leave location. You're going to be behind in your guessing. Next, we have delivery. So I have a truck. If it's over a certain amount of miles or size, this calculator will correct for that. 7.5 materials in this calculator down here at the bottom. I have a operating cost. I have a delivery rate. Anything less than 8 yards uses a different truck from a third party. I calculate for what their prices is. This is a demo count. This isn't correct to what I have. It's just what I've used in a demo count. So it's less than 8 yards. So it's going to be $4.50 per mile on a delivery. So if we do 25, your delivery cost is going to be $112. On the back end of this, I do not mark up delivery. It is a pass through. That's just, we use a third party. So we pass that through the entity. It is in the cost because it's going to go out, but it is a pass through. Next, we'll decide what kind of materials people are going to use. We have multiple offers. We have a sand, an 80/20 standard, and then we have a premium coffee grounds mix that we use. So it allows us to have different options for clients. We created that material for real mowers because in Texas we lack organic matter and we have a lot of clay. We want to make sure we add compost to the yard in the first couple levelings that we do. We're totally good with going with sand if they want it, but we try to encourage an 80/20. Next here, we have different add-on services. So if we take away a service or add on a service, it automatically accounts for the cost of what that is, and then the markup comes in later. We have to measure what our cost is, and so you need to know how much time or money it may cost for you to do something. Soil test, $50. That's our cost to send it in there and do that, and then we will send it to the clients and have recommendations and things like that. Next, property details. This is kind of really huge. We need this for the crew. They need to know if it's front and backyard, if it's front yard only or the whole yard. I can already see an error, so I'll have to go in here and correct. There's going to need to be a backyard only. So that way, if we're just doing one or the other, the crew knows. If this doesn't split it out for core aeration and top dressing, we can always put this, level, backyard only, something like that. So front and backyard is that we also don't do the side. So we need to add backyard. So we'll fix that, right? This is in production. So I will be looking for 4 or 5 people that are new or just started in a business who don't really know what they're doing, looking for help. We want to help them. We're going to fine tune this app, but we know that there's a couple of gaps. I'll have it fixed by tomorrow. Shade issues, that's for leveling. We don't like to do anything really over 50%. If we do, it's a very light leveling, multiple services. So we have to tackle. Here we have our lead hourly rate, tech hourly rate, our second tech. So we run a 2-man crew. One guy may be 35. We can adjust this to whatever. Maybe one guy's 25, the other guy's 20. Payroll burden in Texas, income tax. We don't really have that. We just have some payroll taxes that we have to pay a little bit on top of the processing. So we just account for that. That can add up a lot over time. There are some states where I think there's like a 10% payroll tax. You need to account for all your costs. So that's really huge. Next, operating costs, truck costs, 45, 30, overhead, your delivery rates. Man, if you turn around and you look that you spent 90,000 on a truck, 20,000 on a trailer, and another 30,000. So that's like, what is that? I said 90,000, 20,000 plus 30,000. That's $140,000. You need to know what that's going to cost you over the period of a year. So if you divide it by 12, divided by 160, it's going to cost you about that says $72 an hour. So that's really expensive. That's really expensive. But that's in 1 year, right? Depreciation on your equipment might be in 2 or 3 years. So you'll check with your tax people, $24 an hour, right? So knowing what your cost is and what the depreciation and life of your equipment is, and making sure that you're charging the right amount of money to be able to upgrade and afford repairs. That's maintenance and everything's involved in that. Your overhead here, that's taking into marketing, admin costs, software costs, things like that, things outside of equipment. So, but we have to add an overhead to cover for that. Your different material costs here's 55, 65, 75, 50 top dressing. You can add a premium top dressing, maybe a premium $65. So that way you can know when you do select different packages or people want different materials. Some people want sand. Some people like our coffee grounds 80/20. We have everything screened at 1/4 of an inch for the Central Texas Lawn Leveling. That's the company that I own. So we have different options for clients based on the needs. Not everybody needs the expensive material. It just means it's just maybe not as clean. But we try to make sure we don't use biosolids, rocks, or mulch like compost in our products. Here's your production rates. It may take you, 10,000 square feet an hour, depending on the equipment, how fast you may do a job. These are just, estimations right now, right? Aeration, you got a good size aerator. That may not, you may be even faster than that. But when you start having big yards and little yards, you may have to adjust your production rates. Add-on services, sprinklers, scalping costs, soil tests. We have a minimum. So we like to do like $1,000 minimum. And it really helps. And then we have multipliers. So this adds to the tiers. So when you're trying to sell different products and packages, you have different tiers here to sell clients. Some people may want all these extra details. Maybe somebody just wants sand. So you'll have the option to upsell or downsell your clients to what their needs are. This is just something, again, where it's coming from experience. Cool little feature that will be an add-on. This is a separate part of the package. You'll be able to book now. So this will automatically send the information into your CRM that this job has been booked and that you need to create a job. The CRM in the back end will automatically create the job. Then it's going to look for the zip codes closest to it and offer times to book the jobs. And then we'll turn around and train AI for the efficiency of that route for the day based on traffic and travel. So we're really working on a lot of back-end AI. You're not going to know these things. So we want to help bring this to the market to where you have routes that are the most efficient that they can be based on the location and the area that they're in. Send details, send to the CRM. If it's a quote, I'll send it to the CRM. It'll save the information in there and what they chose. It's actually going to send all the information for this tier package that we broke down. So it'll send your labor costs that you quoted them, your equipment, your travel, your overhead, your material, your delivery, aeration, soil test, spring. It's going to import all these into the CRM. Data is the new oil. Like it is going to shine light on things that you did right or did wrong. And so when you get to the end of the year and you look at your bank account, you don't understand like, man, I did my labor costs, I got my material costs and I added 60% margins, but I only, have a net 10,000 on my income. Well, because you probably didn't count for travel. You didn't add all your base costs and then an overhead on top of it. You didn't account for your equipment being used so much you had to buy a new mower. And so now you got to buy a new mower, but you didn't put any money aside or you didn't account for your equipment and the use of it on job after job. The hardest thing you can do is find these out the hard way. I promise you. I hate looking back and realizing I didn't do something right because I didn't know. Ask questions. Like that's what we're here for. We're helping people. We have a CPA group that we work with that actually is tax strategists that are going to tell you how to save money and how to go after and leverage tax strategies. So that way, you know when to write off equipment, when to use certain tax laws that are available to business owners to save money on taxes. Like that's very important. I don't love the IRS. I don't think anybody does, but they want their money. They're going to get it. You just need to find out how to legally not let them have the money that you don't want to give them because you planned for it the right way. Mowing. So we broke down mowing. Again, I'm not much into the mowing. It's a race to the bottom. I prefer not to deal with it, but people need to still know how to come up with mowing base rates, payroll burdens, right? This is 12. Okay. Maybe you got a 5% payroll burden, travel time per visit, equipment costs. So in here, you have different costs associated with different services. This is an opportunity to add those and shine more light on them. Travel time and things like that, how much you want to multiply your mowing, fertilization. So again, this is just for clarity issues. It's going to be educational. I guarantee if you go back and look at your last 5 jobs that you quoted and you put this in here, you're probably going to realize that you're off. You're not going to be making as much money. So when you think you're making money and you don't know why you can't put money away to buy something new, it's probably because you didn't account for it. So we built this whole calculator. This is a client view, right? Shows the different details. If they decide to get on a monthly program, you can use this calculator either way. Either one, you already do annual property care for somebody and you want to get into the top dressing and lawn leveling business. Now you know how to quote that. You're in the lawn leveling top dressing business and you want to get in the fertilization, the mowing, and the shrub and trimming. Now you know how to price it out. Is it $227 a month? Do they want to pay that? I don't know, but you got to know what you're willing to work for and if it's worth your time and money. This is going to be more of a route conscious decision. Mowing, having multiple houses in a neighborhood at certain dollar prices will work. Eliminating drive time. Even though you're accounting for your drive time, you're not producing money during driving, you're losing money. It's just a cost of going from one to the other. But if you can do 10 homes in one street in 1 hour, then maybe you make a lot more. You can discount it better. So that's a strategic thing. That's going to come back to the AI that we're looking at building in on the back end of this. So this is going to give you a little idea and a little information. You can select these packages, add annual care, book it now, goes into your automation, into your CRM. You don't need to pay somebody to do that. It's already going to do it with triggers and everything else. What's this partner deal? So this is really cool. We had a company reach out to us recently and say, hey, we want your material because we have a very clean coffee grounds manure. Doesn't use any biosolids and everything. That's for the Central Texas Lawn Leveling Company. They want me to do their core aeration and top dressing, but to reduce admin, I created a login for them to go in and price out the jobs, add the details of the jobs that they are doing, and then in whatever markup they want to add to it, but they already have what I want in there and what I'm willing to do it for. Yeah, this is subcontractors 1406. I wonder if this is based on, let's see if we go top dressing. Let's see if that changes. Nope, it stays the same. So to go ahead and core aerate and top dress, we want $1,400 for that premium top dressing. And so this has got their total price in there because they're adding their profit. So if you take this off zero, they get, that's what their deal is. So that's what we would be willing to do it. Again, this is a demo count. So the prices are super high, But if they want 25% markup on top of it, they need to quote them this. This is how much they make. They can send these details back to their email. And so they can have it for later reference if they want. We've got a little promotion and trial run on demoing this so we can get some feedback. We look forward to hearing and helping some people this year. Have a great 2026.